Good morning, everybody. It's breaking dawn outside, but I thought I'd get a couple chapters read to you today. And got my puppy here with me. So let's begin. I'm going to start on chapters 7 and 8. Chapter 7 is the swineherd. Odysseus leaned on his walking stick and trod slowly over the stony path that led away from the sea. He hobbled through the woods and over the hills to his estate. Finally, Odysseus came upon the swineherd who had long tended his hundreds of hogs. The old man sat in front of a crude stone shelter near the swine pens. He was making a pair of leather sandals. Near him lay 4 savage dogs that guarded the hogs. When the dogs caught sight of Odysseus, they lunged forward, snarling and growling. Odysseus threw down his stick and crouched on the ground. The swineherd rushed forward, shouting and throwing stones at the vicious dogs, driving them away. "You are lucky, old man," the swineherd said to Odysseus. "In another minute they might have killed you. Come and stand and come into my hut. I will give you food and wine, and then you can tell me your story, from where you have come and what sorrows you have known." Keeping the dogs at bay, the swineherd led Odysseus inside his simple hut. He made a seat of soft twigs, covering it with a shaggy goat skin, and invited Odysseus to sit down. "You are kind, sir," said Odysseus. "May Almighty Zeus bless you for your hospitality. May he grant your greatest wish." "I have only one wish, that my dear master was still alive," said the swineherd. "Had he lived, he would surely have given me a reward for caring tenderly for his livestock these many years. He might have given me a house, a wife, and a piece of land. But alas, my good master has been gone for 20 years. He died far away from home, returning from the war with Troy. Storm spirits destroyed his ships and all his men." "And what of his family?" Odysseus asked softly. "Ah, his wife waits for him in vain, while other men try to force her to marry. His mother gave up hope of his return long ago and died of grief. His father wishes to die now also. The old man no longer lives in the palace, but sleeps alone in the vineyards. As for the son of Odysseus, the poor boy wanders the earth looking for his father. It is tragic indeed." The faithful swineherd sighed deeply, then stood up. "Let me feed you now, good sir," he said. The swineherd set about preparing a meal for Odysseus. He served him meat still hot on the spit and sprinkled with barley meal. He gave him wine in a cup that made from ivy wood. As they ate and drank together, the swineherd complained to Odysseus about Penelope's suitors. "They butcher the best hogs of the farm," he said. "They slaughter the cattle and rob the storehouses and drink my master's wine. Worst of all, they torment my poor mistress night and day, demanding that she forget Odysseus and marry one of them. Ah, but she is faithful beyond compare. She weeps for her lost husband and will not give up hope for his return." "Do her suitors not heed her wishes?" said Odysseus. "Nay, these men will not leave her alone. They are cruel and without pity. I hear rumors that they now lie in wait, plotting to murder her son." Odysseus said nothing, but in his mind he coolly brooded upon revenge, and the seeds of the suitor's death were sown. As Odysseus and the swineherd finished their meal, a storm began to blow outside. Wind and rain pelted the roof of the small hut. The swineherd gave Odysseus more wine and asked him to tell him about himself. Odysseus lied. He said that he was born in Crete and wandered among many towns until he had come to Ithaca. "But I must tell you this," he said. "On my travels I met a king who told me that Odysseus of Ithaca was still alive. The king said Odysseus will return home on a dark night when the new moon is hidden. He said he might return openly, or he might return in secret." The swineherd shook his head sadly. "Do not try to raise my hopes, friend," he said. "In the past, other wanderers have passed through Ithaca with rumors about Odysseus. Each time they have tormented his poor wife with their falsehoods. Again and again she has imagined that she might soon see her husband. Long ago I myself believed a man who told me that my master would return in summer or in autumn. But Odysseus has never come back, and never will. I am certain that the fish have devoured him by now, and his bones lie deep in the sand of some faraway place. As rainy darkness descended upon the stone hut, the swineherd made Odysseus a bed of sheepskin. He spread a thick cloak over him. Then the faithful servant wrapped himself in the hide of a goat and left the hut. He went out into the dark, windy night and lay under the shelter of a rock, guarding his master's swine. Chapter 8, Return of the Sun. While Odysseus had been making his way home to Ithaca, his son Telemachus had stayed on as a guest in the palace of the king and queen of Sparta. For many days Telemachus had wondered what to do. One night he tossed restlessly in bed. The goddess Athena appeared in his chambers. Before Telemachus could speak, Athena gave him urgent advice. "Linger here no longer, Telemachus. Go home at once and protect your house. But beware, your mother's suitors plan to kill you. Right now they wait to ambush you in the strait between Ithaca and the island of Samos." "What should I do?" asked Telemachus. "Sail quickly through this passage, hugging neither shore," said Athena. "The gods will send a fair wind to speed your ship on to a safe port. When you land, send your crew to town. Then go alone to your father's swineherd, the man who tends his hogs. Send him to your mother to tell her of your safety." Before Telemachus could ask more questions, Athena vanished from the room. Telemachus dressed hurriedly, then ran to King Menelaus' chambers. "My lord, I am sorry to take leave of you so soon, but I must set off for home immediately." The king hated to see the son of Odysseus leave Sparta, but he consented and ordered that a chariot be prepared for him. As Telemachus said farewell to King Menelaus and Queen Helen, a strange sight appeared in the sky. An eagle flew overhead. It clutched a white goose in its talons. Men and women ran across the fields. They pointed at the weird sight and cried out in amazement and fear. "What omen is this?" someone shouted. "What can it mean?" Queen Helen calmly answered. "The gods have revealed to my heart the meaning of this sign," she said. "The eagle stands for Odysseus. The goose stands for his home. After he has traveled far and wide, Odysseus will return home to Ithaca and take his revenge." "May the gods make it so," said Telemachus. With that, the son of Odysseus snapped the reins of the horse and began his long journey home. Telemachus' chariot raced across the plains of Sparta, then on to the harbor of Pylos. There Telemachus found his crew and ship waiting for him. He quickly boarded the vessel and ordered his men to raise sail. Athena sent a fair west wind to start them on their way. On their journey, Telemachus was careful to heed Athena's advice. He ordered his men not to sail close to either shore when they passed through the strait between Ithaca and the Strait of Samos. As the black ship sped safely toward his home, Telemachus remembered more words from the goddess. "When you land in Ithaca, send your crew to town. Then go alone to your father's swineherd, the man who tends his hogs." Just before they reached the port of Ithaca, Telemachus ordered his crew to strike their sails and row to land. When the ship was anchored, the crew went ashore and made a fire to cook their meat. After all his men had eaten their fill, Telemachus spoke to them. "Now row to the city's port without me," he said. "I must travel alone and seek out my father's swineherd." Once the men had cast off and the ship was on its way, Telemachus laced his fine leather sandals and picked up his mighty bronze spear. With rapid steps he headed for the farmstead, where the swineherd kept watch over the hogs. And we'll continue with chapter 9 and 10 very soon.